What do
we hope to achieve this week?
Well, what do we hope to achieve this week? This week, we hope to raise our voices, a continent-wide voice against water privatization in Africa. And like we said in the room, the campaign for this week of action, was carefully decided to coincide with the annual general meeting of the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. We know that these guys will be meeting in Marrakesh, Morocco, and as usual, we'll be discussing solutions, pretend solutions geared at providing development for Africa. But as we've seen time and time over, these solutions are only debt traps for African governments and African people. So this campaign is to say no to such solutions being provided in Morocco this week, and to say that we will never back down. We will continue to say that the right to water as a human right will continue to stand regardless of the mischievous plots.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Esther.
Comrade Biodun Bakari, the state.
What do we hope to achieve this week?
Yes, this week it has been declared as African Week, for water, and the essence of this week is to resist any form of privatization in water sector, and we are not doing it alone. We are doing it in collaboration with civil society organizations and other trade union organizations, but under this coalition, Our Water, Our Right. We have been on for a very long time, and to the extent that before now, we have suggested way forward to government in black and white, because after our argument back and forth, they now said, okay, since we are holding the view that it must not be privatized, that we should suggest to them alternative. And since that time, we have made alternative, we wrote it with, and we submitted it to appropriate authorities. Like I said, as I'm talking to you, that is busy gathering dust, because they already have a mindset that that is the only way they are going. And once they do these things, we have implication, not only on workers. The implication on workers, mass retrenchment and other things like that, but ultimately, quality of the water will be compromised. And this will have health implication on people. And beyond that, there are other factors, surrounding these things, to the extent that over the years, the essence of government is to try as much as possible to deal with issue fairly between the rich and the poor in the society. So if poor people, common persons, are not, being allowed to have access to clean water, which is a natural gift from God Almighty, I think it should call for worry, from any reasonable people anywhere. And that is the essence why we have come together, and we need to put this straight and tell them that that is not the way to go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Their documents, they felt like within a few months they were going to wrap up privatization process. But again, in another report back to the World Bank, the World Bank mentioned that they were not able to do this because of what you and I and all these coalition members have been doing. And Comrade Biodun mentioned the National Water Bill, which was a strategic bill promoted by the Buhari administration. And I can remember when the Minister for Water Resources said that there is nothing anybody can do, this bill will pass. And today, the bill is forgotten. It's been thrown away into the dustbin and is dead, as Dodo, as they say. Now, what am I saying? Is it time to celebrate? This is our third year of the Africa Week of Action Against Water Privatization. What we've seen is that the Bretton Woods institutions have continued to reinvent themselves with various languages. You see that they are saying PPP, they're saying all manners of languages. They come with like aids, they come with loans and all those models. Which conditions that will further, reduce our rights as a people. And as we said last year, Africa must rise to resist water privatization. I was just back from Cameroon. I had to drive through certain villages for about 14 hours. The story is the same of lack of access to water. Now, what they have enabled our government to do, or some cases instigated them to do, is to create conditions of lack, of want. And then when people don't have access, so that we can, they say beggar no get choice. All right, beggars don't have choice, so that we can then, whatever is thrown at us, we'll take. And that is the narrative that they are pushing. That for us to have water, it has to be privatized. And we said no, a resounding no. And we have shown them countries, even the Western countries that are privatized, and then it failed. We've also shown them privatization in Africa that have failed. In fact, the trend now is what is called remunicipalization. Countries are taking over their water assets. And then we now say that, look, this here is an alternative. Dr. Biodo mentioned it. They challenged us. Lagos State government challenged us. Oh, this is our own position. If you have alternative position, bring it to us. Then we produce the book. Alternative to privatization. And since then, they've not even been able to come back to us a new book. Oh, they selected 3 companies. They said, oh, what do you guys have against those companies? Oh, we gave them load down. Produce another report about how those corporations have failed across the world. Don't let me go to the vision scam or vision scape privatization story in Lagos. Now, let me just, I don't know, please cut me if I'm talking too much. Let me give you something very serious. Each time the government is it privatized, I can call it, in Nigeria, another government will come and say, oh, that project has failed. The justice in Nigerians don't ask, or maybe Africans don't ask, is that government lost money in the first effort. And nobody's going to ask any question. In fact, in some cases, we even naively clap for the new government to say, oh, they are cancelling the privatization agenda. Now, that same theory is happening now, even with the current government, that the National Assembly is saying, oh, cancel the electricity privatization. Okay, so how much happened to what the government had launched into that project? What happens to the money they've collected from us as private organization? At the end of the day, we are losing. Water privatization will not work. We will not fall for that scam in Africa. And that's why we are saying, let us all as communities across this continent hold our hands together. It is a responsibility of government to ensure that every African have access to clean, accessible water. Thank you very much. To say, other than to say that gradually those rights that we fought for are being taken over by corporates under different guises. Zagora mentioned a few of them. Right to life, right to water, right to education. Even our right to elect the kind of leaders that we want is being gradually taken away from us by corporations. Water is very different. We cannot do without water. We started this journey in 2014 with This is Lagos. Our water, our rights. Before we were still cheering up in London to give us that overview. And Fatu, as always, a great comrade. I think several of our allies that joined with us and other journalists from across Africa who joined this special event.
So, comrade, collectively, we can achieve our goal as Africans. And nobody is coming to Africa to situate things properly for us. Rather, we should be in charge and take ownership of what we think is anti-people's policy and resist it so that at the end of the day, again, they went to legal route
by way of trying to make sure that they use legislation to achieve what they want to achieve. But since we have started, we have been recording lots of gains, ranging from issue of the National Water Resources Bill, which by now, if not for the activities of this coalition, they would have done that, dusted it, and by now